Mas naunang nag-file si Ralph Recto sa free tuition fee sa tertiary education. Si Ralph Recto. But after that, guys, si Bam nag-file din siya. And at that time, si Bam ay ang chairperson ng Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture. Yan. So, ang nangyari, ginawa na lang siyang co-author sa free tuition fee, and it's Recto really who is the principal author of the free tuition fee. Si Bam is not the principal author of the free tuition fee. Bam is just a principal sponsor. It was Recto who principally authored the bill or the law. Now, ano ang kaibahan sa Malasakit Center? Ang Malasakit Center kasi, guys, it's a pet project of the Executive Department, Digong's time, spearheaded by Bongo. Pet project lang yan, Malasakit Center, and it started in Vicente Soto Hospital in Cebu in February 2018. Parang ganyan yung date. Ganyan. So, nag-start siya. Tapos, of course, it's a project. Nahanapan ng paraan. May funding from PhilHealth ata yun, DOH, parang DBM, ganyan. May funding. Nakakuha sila ng funding for the Malasakit Center. Now, guys, 2 days or 3 days after Bongo took his oath in office as a new elected senator, guys, nanghanap siya ng paraan to institutionalize the Malasakit Center para, guys, even if hindi na siya ang mananalo by next election, the project would continue. Why? Because it's already institutionalized. There is an enabling law to fund the Malasakit Centers, etc. Mas nauna si Bongo. Ay, ito pa. Yung free tuition fee, yung tertiary quality access to tertiary education. Guys, in 2018 or 19, guys, na-debunk na yan. Ang hindi ko maintindihan, bakit hindi pa rin gets ng mga kakamping na it is not Bam Aquino who principally authored the free tuition fee. Ang nangyari kasi at that time, maraming authors na okay, disclaimer lang, don't quote me sa mga numbers ha. If I am not mistaken, there are 55 free tuition fee bills that are filed at that time in the House of Representatives ata. Pero ang nangyayari kasi dyan, guys, pag may mga similar na legislation na ginawa yung magko-consolidate yan sila. Kaya may mga House bill na ganito, House bill na ganyan. Tapos magko-consolidate yan sila para yung lahat ng mga provisions under that certain legislation is maisa nilang lahat. Tapos if yan yung pagdidebatehan nila, first reading, second reading, and third reading, and after that they would send it to the Senate para ang Senate makagawa din sila ng kanilang version. So marami, I think 55 ata na bills at that time. So yun, nasa House of Representatives. But the very controversial, guys, is yung kay Bam Aquino. Ang nangyari kasi is, may nag-file din sa Senate at that time. Tapos, mas naunang nag-file si Ralph Recto sa free tuition fee sa tertiary education. Si Ralph Recto. But after that, guys, si Bam nag-file din siya. And at that time, si Bam ay ang chairperson ng Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture. Yan. So, ang nangyari, ginawa na lang siyang co-author sa free tuition fee, and it's Recto really who is the principal author of the free tuition fee. Ano ang role ni Bam? Since Bam is the chairperson of the Committee on Education, Arts, and Culture at that time, guys, siya yung dapat ang magde-debate, siya yung dapat ang magde-defend, parang ganyan, which he did. Kaya naging principal sponsor siya. May kaibahan kasi, guys, sa author and sponsor. Pag author, ikaw talaga yung gumawa ng groundwork, ikaw yung nag-check ng mga law na walang na-violate, tapos ikaw yung naghanap kung saan na funding, and everything ganyan. So yan yung sa author. Pag ikaw yung principal sponsor, ikaw yun, guys, you champion the bill, ikaw yung makikipag-debate doon, ikaw yung magaganyan-ganyan. Tapos pag tumulong ka, of course, sa paggawa, so co-author. Pero pag tumulong ka sa pag-debate, pagpapaintindi sa plenary, guys, na ganito yung batas na ginagawa namin, so co-sponsor ka. So si Bam, again ha, let me correct this, si Bam is not the principal author of the free tuition fee. Bam is just a principal sponsor. It was Recto who principally authored the bill or the law. Now, ano ba ang naging problem? Ang naging problem kasi, guys, in 2019, tapos na ang usapan dyan. In 2019, 2020, 2022 is ang continuation na lang kung paano masusustain yung funding ng free tuition fee. Pero ngayon, guys, lumabas naman yung mga kabobohan ng mga kakampings because they are saying that si Bam daw talaga ang ang may likha or ang nag-author talaga ng free tuition fee, which is not. Pero na-find out ko din guys, na one of the political advertisements pala of Bam Aquino is the free tuition fee. So yun, kaya pala bumalik yung conversation. Now, sa sinulat ko, sinabi ko talaga sa inyo yung facts, kung ano yung nangyari, paano nagkaganyan, kasi totoo naman. May Marawi siege pa kasi in 2017, kung hindi ako nagkakamali ha, may Marawi siege tapos pumutok ata yung pinatubo, ganyan. So maraming parang series of events na nangyari at that time. Tapos we are also recovering from the previous administration, parang ganyan. Now, tinutulan ito ng mga ni Tatay Digong, ng mga economic managers, sila Dominguez and sino pa yon? Kalimutan ko na yung name. Tinutulan nila ito because nga it will not be sustainable since we need to fund the free tuition fee 40 billion to 50 billion yearly. Ganyan. Tapos at that time guys, hesitant si Tatay Digong. Sabi niya, yeah, tama naman. Why are we parang funding rich kids na nakapag-aral sa mga state universities, mga ganyan? Ang gusto niya is targeted. So gusto niya na dapat pag may qualifications ka na ganito. For example ba, yung sa 4Ps na dapat ganyan, yan lang yung tutulungan. Pero ang nangyari guys, grabe yung negotiation, grabe yung parang mga back channeling na nangyayari. Ang tinatawagan ng mga authors and sponsors ng bill na yan guys is si Bongo. Ang sinasabi nila, SAP, paki-explain naman na ganito yung layunin, ipaintindi mo kay Tatay Digong, mga ganyan-ganyan. Of course, you're the special assistant of the president di ba? So, ang ginawa ni Bongo, sinabi niya lahat na ganito kasi yan, ganito, ganyan. Now, despite the objections of PRRD's economic managers, he signed. August 3, sinign niya yung free tuition fee. Tapos, kasi 2 days na lang, wala na, mag-expire na yon August 5. So, August 3, sinign niya, guys. Now, sinabi nila, no, okay lang naman, kahit hindi sinign ni Tatay Digong, or ni Duterte, even if he did not sign that bill, it would lapse into law after 30 days. Tama nga naman. Tama sila. It would lapse into law. But the thing, guys, is, if it would lapse into law without the president doing anything about it, it would be hard to seek funding, guys. Why? Because it's the executive, guys, who will implement the projects and programs. It's the executive who will find a way kung saan kukunin yung mga budgets. Kaya nga may mga DBM, may mga sa ganyan-ganyan para makuha yung 40 billion yearly. Now, if Digong did not act on it, the bill would be useless. And alam nyo ba, there are below 100 unfunded laws that have lapsed into law na. Kasi nga, pag hindi napansin, hindi yan mahanapan ng funding, hindi yan mahanapan ng paraan kung paano yan i-implement. Again even if the law lapse into law even if the bill lapse into law after 30 days, it's still the executive who will implement such. So the implementation matters in the executive. Kaya nga thankful tayo. Okay, now let's give credits where the credit is due, di ba? Yan yung mga kasabihan natin eh. Now of course, we should be thankful to the counterpart sa House of Representatives who made their version. And we also need to thank the Senate, the people behind the free tuition fee, and not only BAM, okay? We should also thank Duterte because he looked for ways on how to sustain the program or the law, the funding of the free tuition fee. Okay? Now, it's a collaborative effort, guys. It's not an effort of one person lang. Again, for how many years since Cory's time, there is no free tuition fee. Yan yung dapat yung intindihin. Why did it only happen during Digong's time? Because there is political will. There is, parang urge to look for ways in order to fund the free tuition for the state colleges and state universities. Yan yung dapat ninyong intindihin, guys. So, bakit nangyari kay Digong lang? So, kaya nga, maging thankful tayo. We should thank Bam Aquino, but we should also thank Duterte and the rest of the people that help out para ma-pass into law and ma-sustain yung funding ng free tuition fee. And it's not right that you will solely credit Bam Aquino on that because nagdi-debate lang naman siya. I know that that's his job and the president's job is to sign, to veto, or to whatnot. But the thing is, it's really a collaborative effort nga because it needs funding. Maghanap ka ng paraan paano mo yan i-fund. Imagine na, despite the objections of PRRD's economic managers, ginawa niya lahat yun. Okay? Now, ano ang kaibahan sa Malasakit Center? Ang Malasakit Center kasi, guys, it's a pet project of the executive department, Digong's time, spearheaded by Bongo. Pet project lang yan, Malasakit Center. And it started in Vicente Soto Hospital in Cebu in February 2018. Parang ganyan yung date. Ganyan. So nag-start siya, tapos of course, it's a project nahanapan ng paraan, may funding from PhilHealth ata yun, DOH, parang DBM, ganyan, may funding, nakakuha sila ng funding for the Malasakit Center. Now guys, 2 days or 3 days after Bongo took his oath in office as a new elected senator, guys, nanghanap siya ng paraan to institutionalize the Malasakit Center. Para guys, even if hindi na siya ang mananalo by next election, the project would continue. Why? Because it's already institutionalized. There is an enabling law to fund the Malasakit Centers, etc. Mas nauna si Bongo. Now, 2019 yan, July 2019, but the version, guys, of the House of Representatives came out September of 2019. So, July ginawa ni Bongo ang kanya, September lumabas ang counterpart ng bill sa House of Representatives. And nang lumabas pa yun, guys, ang ginawa pa nila, hindi, i-copy na lang natin yung bill ni Senator Bongo na ganito na lang, ganito, ganyan, i-consolidate na lang natin. So, of course, bicameral committee, ganyan, hinanap nila, ganyan. Tapos nakita nga nila na yung version ng bill coming from the House of Representatives, guys, parang they copied word for word yung bill na ginawa ni Bongo. Yes, yan yung nangyari. And at that time, since of course, Duterte time, di ba, halos lahat, ganyan naman yung mga politiko kung sino yung nakaupo sa siya, gagawin nilang Panginoon yan, ganyan. And since because Bongo is the special assistant to the president, and of course, Duterte is the president, so, grabe yun, 18-0 ata yung voting. Tapos, in the House of Representatives, there's only one who opposed the said bill, and it's Edsel Lagman. So sinabi ko na din yan sa previous write-ups ko kung ano yung reason ni Edsel Lagman in opposing the bill. Pero again, of course, there's only one objection, and I think a few members abstained during the voting. So the bill has passed into law. So napa siya into law. Kaya may mga Malasakit Centers. Now, bakit nabigay kay Bongo ang credit? Unlike kay Bam na dinidebate talaga siya, it's because ang Malasakit Center is technically a pet project of Bongo sa executive department even before he became a senator. And when he became a senator, he institutionalized that so that the funding would continue for the benefit of the Filipino people. Kaya sinasabi nila, Malasakit is Bongo talaga, associated siya kay Bongo. Unlike the free tuition fee na hindi mo solely makre-credit kay Bam Aquino, it's because nga hindi nga siya ang principal author. Principal sponsor lang siya. It was Recto and the rest of the people in the Senate na nag-co-author ng bill. So yan yun. So dapat i-close na natin ang debate na yan. Ang atin is, sige, may free tuition fee. Does it help to the Filipino students? Yes. 1.8 million of Filipinos are able to go to college because of the free tuition fee. 'Di ba? That's 1.8 million families. Yan. It's very helpful. So instead of debating who we should give the credit, why should we focus on its benefits, and let's move forward, guys. Huwag na dyan. Ito din, they are trying to undermine the value of the Malasakit Center. I have read some posts coming from Kakampings. They are saying na they need to rebrand the Malasakit Center because most of the credits are, given to Bongo, parang ganyan. Why would you halt a certain program that is very beneficial sa mga mahihirap? And we are seeing a lot of comments and testimonies coming from real people online saying that they are very thankful with the Malasakit Center because na zero yung bill nila, may millions of hospital bill na natulungan sila, nabigyan sila ng ganyan. So why are we depriving Filipinos of that program? Why are you politicizing a certain program that has truly contributed to the lives and to the welfare of the Filipino people? Okay, let's give it to Bongo. It's a very good project of Bongo. Why can the Kakampings not accept that? Why can you not accept the fact that it was really Bongo who initiated such project? So sige, ipagpalagay natin may anong tawag dyan? Identical project and program. We deserve to have many projects and programs for the Filipino people. Diba? Because if we only allow DSWD to do such project, it would be hard because DSWD cannot do that alone. Diba? Medical and burial assistance. One of the reasons why they reduce and cut the budget of the OVP, it's because the medical and burial assistance is a repetition of, or is a duplication of the programs that are already provided by the DSWD. But why are we seeing a lot of people lining up in the OVP satellite offices? It is because, guys, DSWD is not enough. DSWD does not even zero out the hospital bill or the burial expenses. Kaya nga, may mga tayo na program, complementary programs. Say for example, the medical and burial assistance of the OVP. Because nga, this is for the Filipino people. These are taxes coming from the Filipino populace. So we deserve to have that. Why are you more focusing on the duplicated projects and programs? Kailangan naman talaga yan. 'Di ba? Say for example, sa anong tawag diyan? Magnegosyo Taday. Yung Magnegosyo Taday, the OVP gives out capital to a certain group, LGBT, women, single parents, everything, para may mga tindahan sila, mga ganyan. 'Di ba? And technically, this is a social welfare program. And this is supposed to be implemented by the DSWD. But why is the DSWD not implementing such program? Why are they more focused on giving out AIX, MAIP, ayuda to the Filipino people? So the OVP does not do that. What OVP does, guys, is they give out capital. They have literally they help out by doing some literacy and numeracy lessons, financial management lessons, para nga matulungan din yung mga hirap. Even if wala silang formal education, they can still continue with their business or makahanap din sila ng source of income. So, ang ginawa nila, they cut and reduce the budget of the OVP because it's the duplication daw. Again, why are you depriving the Filipino people to get the service that they deserve coming from the government? Ito yung hindi ko din maintindihan, because if the OVP is duplicating the programs of the DSWD, well, why are we seeing congressmen giving out AIX, ayuda? 'Di ba? The task of the congressmen is to legislate, to craft laws, to make bills, to write bills. Bakit natin sila nakikita? Why are we seeing congressmen who are giving out assistance? It's the task of the DSWD. So are you saying, using the same logic, you also have to reduce the budget of the congressmen? It's because they are duplicating the projects of the DSWD? That is so wrong, right? Kaya nga, VP Sara is getting the support of the masses because they felt na VP Sara is the only one na may touch of reality ba on the ground. Nakikita nyo ba si BBM pumupunta sa mga bundok, nagvi-visit, naghahag ng mga matatanda, pumupunta sa mga schools, nakikipag-usap sa mga teachers? Wala, because elitist yan siya eh. Elitista yan. Mayaman yan. Ayaw niya yung he doesn't wanna touch the grasses. Unlike VP Sara na nasa ground talaga siya. Almost every day, may travel, pumupunta sa mga far-flung places to understand the needs of the Filipino people. And that's what sets VP Sara apart from BBM. Yun. Yung kasama ko sa work, nagdialysis sa Santa Ana Hospital, nung nawala ng pondo ang PhilHealth, Malasakit Center sila lumapit. Kaya natuloy, mabilis kasing umakyat. Kaya natuloy yung, hindi ko na mabasa. My uncle was a cancer patient. 2 of my aunts were diabetic patients. Lahat yan umabot ng millions ang bill. Na zero budget because of Malasakit Center. Kaya solid talaga si Bongo. Kaya nga, ito yung sinasabi ko, we should not deprive Filipinos of their right to get the best service coming from the government. Dapat, kung ano yung projects, okay, ito good question from Mark Pirandos. Ma-proclaim ba si FPRRD kasi pinapakalit ng kabilang grupo? Yes, FPRRD is already proclaimed. So, ganito yun guys. It's not true. May lumalabas kasi ng mga infographic ngayon na since FPRRD is currently detained in The Hague, the second placer, Carlo Nograles, would assume the office. That is so wrong. There is no legal and constitutional basis on that argument. Ang sinasabi kasi ng batas guys, if the president is, for example, ngayon sa status ni Digong, nasa The Hague siya so technically he cannot take an oath, and there is no jurisprudence pa or there is no precedence saying na pwede mag-live lang mag-take ng oath or pwede virtual taking of oath lang. Wala pang jurisprudence niyan, so wala pa tayong na law, unless kung if i-allow yan ng Supreme Court, siguro ganyan, okay yan, pero it would be a long legal battle pa. Yan. So basically, if Duterte cannot go home before he takes his oath as the mayor of Davao City, may vacancy na mangyayari. Now, in order to parang declare a certain office vacant, may mga basis na yan under the law, like incapacitated na, tapos impossible na siya yun, ano sa office, ano pa yun, death, resignation, etc. So that would take more or less, if I'm not mistaken 3 to 6 months, parang ganyan. So basically, wala. However, if the would declare a permanent vacancy in the mayor's office, ang mafa-follow ng batas dyan, under the local government code is, yung line of succession, it would be the mayor. So, hindi pwede na ang second placer, or for example, si Carlo Nograles, yung magiging mayor because hindi si Digong makakatake ng oath, hindi siya makaka-assume sa office. Now, unless if Nograles can find a way to declare Tatay Digong as a nuisance candidate, because that would make his certificate of candidacy null and void from the very void ab initio. So parang void na siya from the very beginning. Ganyan. Pero how can they do that when in fact Duterte is the former president? How can he be declared as a nuisance candidate? That's legally impossible talaga. So hindi yan mangyayari. So ang mangyayari dyan, guys, it would still be Baste, because Baste is the vice mayor now. It would still be Baste who will act as the mayor, and eventually, if the COMELEC or DILG or even the court would declare permanent vacancy on the mayor's office, it would be Baste who will automatically become the mayor of Davao City. Now, under the law, ang yung line of succession, kung sino yung konsehal, guys, councilor of the city or sa lungsod, na who got the highest vote counts, guys, sila yung susunod na vice mayor. And in Davao's case, it's Rigo Duterte. So again, it would be Mayor Baste Duterte, Vice Mayor Rigo Duterte. Now, ang kinakalaban na naman nila ngayon, ang sinasabi na naman lang issue, it's because of political dynasty. Wala kaming pakialam sa political dynasty if we have the Dutertes. Why? We are seeing results. Kayo siguro ayaw nyo sa political dynasty, it's because yung mga political dynasty nyo, mga inutil, walang ginagawa sa buhay nila, di ba? Walang nagawang mga projects. Pero pag sa mga Duterte, we're okay. We're completely doing okay here in Davao. Okay lang kami. Debt-free kami. Insurgency-free kami. We are one of the most livable, safest, and cleanest city in Southeast Asia. It's something that that the leaders in your places, guys, cannot do. Diba? Tapos, guys, anti-dynasty. Dapat i-push daw yung anti-dynasty bill. It is, again, impossible because halos lahat sa Congress, guys, sa HOR, sa House of Representatives, magkamag-anak lang yan. Tingnan nyo yung sa, for example, sa Luzon, Laguna ata, if I'm not mistaken Dan Fernandez tumakbo bilang governor, anak niya naman nasa Congress, parang ganyan. Sino pa? Vilma Santos, si Lucky Manzano, marami pa maraming example pa sa Congress dyan. So, yun, ang masasabi ko lang is, political dynasty is bad if you got the wrong family. But if you have the right family to lead your city or to lead your place, it's really, really good because why? Number one, there is continuity. Hindi niya naman pwede na i-stop ko yung project na yan. Kasi ang nangyari kasi, pag iba-iba yung namumuno, guys, i-stop yung project. That would be attributed to my opponent last election. Hindi ko yan i-continue kasi siya yung maalala na siya yung gumawa. Then when the next election comes, it would be easier for him or her to say na, hey, that's my project, your mayor did not do that, but for example, ako as a mayor, ako yung tumapos niyan Pero the credit is on that person because he or she initiated the project, he initiated the program, parang ganyan. So yan yung nangyayari. But now, if you have a very good political dynasty, guys, for example, for the Dutertes, so galing kay Tatay Digong, peace and order, minintain niya ni VP Sara. Now, because the foundation is already there, VP Sara, mas ginalingan niya pa. So, during VP Sara's time as mayor of Davao City became an insurgency-free city. Digong, hindi niya na kaya yan. Hindi niya na insurgency-free. Kasi, he set the foundation lang na ganito dapat, ganito. Tapos, ikaw, Inday, because ikaw na ang mayor, i-continue mo tong project na ito, galingan mo pa, mag-add ka pa ng other project, kaya naging insurgency-free. Now, during Inday's time, kasi magaling talaga si VP Inday, debt-free ang Davao, wala kaming utang, nabayaran lahat yon ganyan. And then, Mayor Baste became the mayor. Ano ginawa niya? He continued the legacy of his sister na debt-free ang Davao City. Naghanap siya ng paraan, investors, work, employment, iba't ibang projects that can help out the city to maintain its status na debt-free. Kaya ngayon, guys, okay kami. We have the best political dynasty, and I'm not saying this because I'm a blind follower or I'm a Duterte apologist or a diehard Duterte supporter. I'm saying this because we are seeing results, and the results are very tangible. Nakikita ng dalawang mata mo. We're not called King City of the South if hindi naman talaga namin ma-justify. Everything is justified. Yung mga neighboring places, yung mga neighboring provinces, dito yun sila, dito yun sila pumupunta sa Davao. Dito yun sila, halos lahat May mga from different people. Ako, originally, I'm from Bukidnon, but I built my career here in Davao City. And I'm doing very, very well in life na. And that's because Davao City has offered me a job. Dito ako nakakita ng trabaho. Tapos okay din yung sahod. Kasi of course, it's a city, di ba? It's a highly urbanized city. The sahod is competitive. For example, I think the same thing cannot be said about if nag-continue lang ako sa province because maliit yung doon minimum wage. Tapos I don't know if I'm getting the amount, or for example, the salary that I deserve, parang ganyan. So ang sinasabi ko dito, ang main point ko lang talaga, pangit lang talaga yung political dynasty if you guys have the wrong family. If you have voted the wrong family, but if you voted for the right family, guys, na magli-lead ng nyo, everything would be fine. And best example talaga is yung mga Duterte. Klarong-klaro naman, entire Philippines, the Dutertes have the support of the Filipinos. Next, aligning... Sandali. Inom muna ako, guys. Ang saya pala, no? Ganito. Aligning of Chel and Laila kay Romualdez may negative impact sa future plans ng Pinklawan. Exactly. Guys, I've said this before and let me reiterate this fact, ha. It's not only BBM ang kalaban natin. Again, there are power plays that are currently happening in the current administration. The Araneta's Lisa is also doing something. Romualdez is also doing something. Bongbong, as the president, is doing something, di ba? Doing something else as the president. Sorry. Now, we also have the Reds, the CPP, NPA, NDF. We also have the Kakampings and the other groups, guys. So all these people, guys, they are doing something for political survival. Okay, they are doing some alliances because this would help them out continue in politics. And there is only one common denominator, guys. Ang kalaban nila lahat ang mga Dutertes. Kaya nga, when you analyze things, you shouldn't only focus on the fact na, hey, Marcos kasi yan, ganyan, ganyan. Because even within the Marcos admin, guys, may power play dyan. Hindi yan lahat kaalyado ni BBM. May mga sariling interest yan sila that they protect. Diba? Isa pa, halimbawa ha, hindi nag-a-align ang vision ni Romualdez at ni BBM. And it means one thing, okay? It means one thing na Romualdez also has an interest that he wants to put out there. He wants to protect. And same with Lisa Marcos, parang ganyan. Now, Chel Jokno and Laila de Lima, parang sila ngayon ni Romualdez. They are ass-licking Romualdez because of course, Romualdez is in power eh. Siya yung Speaker of the House. So may command talaga siya, may power and influence siya sa sa branch nila ganyan. It would be hard for the Kakampings now to parang rally their support. Why? Because at the end of the day, guys, try do rin lang naman ni Romualdez si Laila de Lima and si Chel Jokno. And this is only an analysis, ha. I'm not saying that this is the factual antecedent. What I'm trying to say here is I really think it's Romualdez political maneuver yung nangyari ngayon ng reversal sa case ni Laila de Lima. And ang point dyan is, I think lang ha, siguro, maybe, allegedly, ganyan, para safe ako, the way I see it, guys, is there will be negotiation in the coming days. Laila, reversal of your case, ha? Remember that. What we want you to do is just to look for ways for VP Sara to be convicted and for her to be perpetually disqualified from holding a public office. So Laila, galingan mo yan. Parang ganyan yung nakikita kong mga negotiation eh. And for Laila, for her political survival, sige, gagawin ko yan. Maghahanap ako ng paraan. I-add ko pa yung ICC? Ganyan yan. So may mga negotiations na yan na nangyayari dyan. So opinion ko lang to ha. I'm not saying this is the truth. So don't use this against me. So yan yung mga nakikita ko na ganyan na yung takbo ng usapan. Because alam mo ba, 'di ba acquitted na eh. For how many years hindi na kaya ng mga judges and in just a snap of a finger before the elections na acquit si Laila de Lima, and right after Laila de Lima won as congresswoman, biglang inilabas ang kaso. April 30 pa, ngayon lang natin alam. Kanina lang natin alam ang about sa reversal of the Court of Appeals. Bakit ganon? Ang ganda ng timing, di ba? tinawagan para maging prosecution, to be part of the prosecution team sa impeachment ni VP Sara. So now, Laila De Lima would, try her best to prove niya yung self niya, di ba? So gagawin niya. So technically, hahanap talaga yan ng paraan kahit na shallow na yung argument siya, gagawin niya lang yan just to find a way na ma-impeach talaga si VP Sara. So, yun. With Chel Jokno naman, si Chel, hindi kasi ako nagagalingan kay Chel, to be honest. Alam ko na parang ginagawa yan siyang god ng mga kakampings, pero the way I analyze and understand his arguments, the way he talks, and the way he explains things, masasabi ko talaga na wala akong nakikitang siya, parang garbage in, garbage out din siya. Yun. South Cotabato kami, but taga Cebu ako, husband ko taga dito, kaya gusto ko talaga joke na para. Nami ang paminahon ko, probably raised by Duterte. Ano pa? What about the levied taxes? Ayan pa. Guys, alam nyo ba, nangutang na naman si BBM. Ako personally, as an individual, wala akong utang kahit piso. Or maybe yung sa credit card na lang na naka-installment, sige, utang yon ganyan. Pero yung utang sa ibang tao, wala akong utang kahit piso. Kahit sentavo, wala akong utang sa ibang tao. Ayaw ko talagang mangutang. But, during Digong's time, naintindihan ko, why is it necessary for him na mangutang? Guys, may Marawi siege. Yung, nag-erupt yung Mount Pinatubo. Tapos, nag-pandemic. Sunod-sunod yun, guys. So, tapos, at that time, sorry, ang kati ng ilong ko. At that time, nag-stop yung operations. Humina yung economy natin. Of course naman, lahat naman humina na ang economy at that time. COVID time, 2020, 2021. Then by 2022, election time, so new administration, ganyan, need to recover and everything. Ganyan. Unfortunate lang talaga, guys, na may pandemic. Tapos, because we are doing good na in terms of our economy at that time. So, ang ginawa ni Tatay Digong, nangutang siya because we launched the biggest financial assistance talaga ever happened in Philippine history. Naalala nyo, guys, di ba, yung mga ayuda na binibigay. Kasi walang trabaho ang mga tao eh. Yan yung time na justified yung ayuda. Yan yung point ko na, okay, naintindihan ko talaga na nangutang si Tatay Digong, parang ganyan. Ang hindi ko maintindihan ngayon, guys, is the fact na wala namang nangyari sa Pilipinas ngayon. Walang pandemic, wala lahat. Yung mga nangyari kay Digong, wala, hindi nangyari ngayon. Pero bakit lumulobo yung utang natin? Ano ba ang pinagagastusan ni BBM? Wala naman tayong nakikitang big ticket infrastructure projects. Saan ba? Mostly kasi sa mga nangyayari ngayon, continuation sa na-start ni Tatay Digong sa Build program. Kasi ang nangyayari, guys, yung construction project kasi, it would take around 2 to 4 years before it would be complete. It would get completed. Parang ganyan. So, kay Tatay Digong, may mga projects and programs na nag-start siya 2021, 2022, parang ganyan. So, matatapos yan, of course, it will not happen in just a day. Matatapos yan 2023, 2024. And now, sino ang president? Si BBM. That's why he's taking all the credits na ganito, ganyan. Pero wala naman talaga. Hindi naman talaga galing sa kanya. So, yan yung naging problem ngayon. Okay? Tapos, bakit pa siya nangutang ng ilang trilyon na naman? Saan niya ginamit? 'Di ba? Saan niya ginamit? Hindi natin alam. Okay, I would understand na yung sa AKAP, 'di ba? Ano yun naghanap ng paraan sila para ma-fund yun. Kasi nga, of course, election, it would help. 'Di ba? Yeah, vote buying, everything, ganyan. Pero, ang hindi ko maintindihan, bakit ngayon tinatax na halos lahat? Pati mga online apps, pati Netflix, Diyos ko Lord, bakit tinax pa yun? Dapat sana, ang tinax ni BBM yung PORN sites, 'di ba? Para makita niya talaga kasi maraming nanonood doon eh. Hindi yung Diyos ko Lord pati ang tawag diyan, pati Netflix na tax na, pati Upwork. Imagine ha, marami na tayong mga ngayon, mga VAs, mga virtual assistants, and they are earning very very well kasi dollars yung pumapasok sa kanila. And the value of peso is so low compared sa dollar ngayon. So okay lang 'yun, pero ngayon ang Upwork may may tax na, itatax na ni BBM. Putang ina talaga. Actually, hindi ako marunong magmura. Since wala na si Trillanes, need nila si De Lima sa attack dog, baka naman gamitin nila yung kaso, di niya sa... Trump up charges nga yung ginagawa nila. Si Trillanes, ambisyoso kasi siya. He thought na, he still has the support of the people, majority of the people. He can't even win a local election, di ba? Hindi nga siya nanalo as mayor sa Caloocan. How much more sa national level? Meaning to say, yung credibility ni Trillanes, walang-wala na. Pero, na-utilize pa siya ng Quadcom. Ginawa pa siyang witness. Tapos yung mga nakuha niya daw ng mga bank accounts ng mga Duterte, he considered this as the Bible of truth. Parang ganyan. The way he told the Quadcom about it, parang bang really, really factual. Pero those are just allegations. And allegations bereft of any basis remain as allegations. So, wala yung value. Magiging defense lawyer ba si Guanzon? Okay. So, I still have not talked about Attorney Weng about that, no? So, hindi ko pa ma-confirm kung saang defense lawyer siya. But as far as I can remember, few people have actually gotten her to be part of their defense team sa case. And I don't think that's related sa case ni VP Sara because I understand na Guanzon is kakamping and for sure, VP Sara will not get her as part of the defense. Ano pa ba? Grabe yung mga comments, guys. Ang dami. So, I have 2 minutes left pala. 1 hour and 18 minutes na pala ako. So, I'm using Prism kasi makikita mo yung time. Tapos, ma-enhance mo yung lighting and everything. So, yun. Ano pa ba? Ang bilis kasi ng takbo ng comments, guys. Hindi ko nababasa. I used to admire Dilima because she spoke so intelligently, but after coming home for good, following years from abroad, I began to understand how dirty politics really works, and eventually FPRD brought her out in the open. Actually, ni-reveal talaga lahat ni PRRD, kaya nga galit na galit sila. Okay. Bring jam to Mother-in-law sa utang. Okay, ano na to? Side comment. Guys, si Jam Magno, tanga na lang talaga ang naniniwala sa kanya. Again, if you don't consider yourself as tanga, huwag mo na siyang pakinggan. Huwag mo nang i-big deal yung lumalabas sa mouth niya. Because in the first place, she's just an empty can. And empty cans create the loud noise, di ba? Ganyan. Ano yan? Ang ini-imagine ko, guys, what if si Claire Castro, si Jam Magno, sino pa ba? Si Trillanes, si Dilima, and yung iba pang mga attack dogs, what if sila yung nasa loob ng PBB, no? Feeling ko talaga everyday may war. Excited na kunin mo nakakita sa event sa The Hague, Netherlands, Sir Tio. Oh, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the embassy kasi they scheduled me May 13. That's right after the elections. And alam nyo naman, 'di ba, nakabantay tayo sa result ng election. So I wasn't able to go to Cebu yung sa VFS. So I don't know if I can still get an appointment ba to process my documents or to do my anong tawag diyan. Basta yung mga process na gagawin. So nasad ako. I'm ready na sana. Napagod na ako, guys. Ganito pala ka draining. Now I understand Joey. Kasi si Joey always yan nagla-live like every 2 days ata. But good thing about Joey is Tagalog na siya. So hindi na siya mahihirapan i-translate yung thought niya to Tagalog and English. Mag-ano na lang siya, code switch na lang siya. Ang problem sa akin is I'm Bisaya, tapos I'm trying to speak in Tagalog para for my Tagalog audience to understand. Then sometimes hindi ko alam yung translation to Tagalog, so I opted to use English na lang for the translation. So that's why nagta-Taglish ako, even if it sounds shit. I know kakampings are actually attacking me with my accent, but I really don't care. Ano pa ba? Okay, ito na, guys, last ko na to. Loss of power. One of the laws of power, guys, is actually to confuse people. Okay? If you confuse people kasi, they cannot create a single plan to pin you down. Because if there is confusion, of course, they will also get confused, di ba? Ganyan. So, guys, if you guys are so confused about what the Dutertes are doing now, just chill, just relax, and just enjoy the show. Again, confusion is power. Yan lang masasabi ko ngayon. So kung confused kayo sa lahat ng mga ginagawa nila, do not demonize them. Do not talk ill about the Dutertes. Just watch the show, just support them kung ano yung level of support na maipakita ninyo. Because nga again, creating confusions can also create confusions to the enemies. And as a result, they cannot really lay out a single plan to pin you down because again, up until now, they are confused. Yun. Okay. Chaos is ladder. Accent doesn't matter. I know. Double jeopardy. No, it doesn't work on Laila de Lima's case. Guys, when we talk about double jeopardy, it means that there is a valid judgment. There is a valid decision. The contention of the Court of Appeals, guys, is there is no valid judgment. There is grave abuse of discretion. So there is no valid judgment. So you can only invoke double jeopardy if the judgment is valid. But on Laila de Lima's case, the issue there is the validity of the judgment. It is because there is grave abuse of discretion coming from the judge himself. Again, when we talk about grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction, it means that the judgment promulgated by a certain judge or a certain lawyer, it's capricious, it's whimsical, and it's really arbitrary. What it means by that is there is no legal and factual basis as to the judgment or as to the decision. So that's why the Court of Appeals or reverse the decision on Laila de Lima's case, and they want the judge to explain on how he or she made the judgment. It's because if the Court of Appeals will find out that there is really or can prove that there is really grave abuse of discretion, so the acquittal of Laila de Lima is null and void. Yan yung point dyan. Okay? Okay. Alright, so I think I'm good for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Yes, I think magla-live na ako from time to time because I want you guys to ito random kasi ito, wala akong talking points, hindi ko alam kung ano yung pinagsasabi ko. So maybe next time gagawa ako ng mga talking points para mas maintindihan niyo kung ano yung gusto kong ibig sabihin. Tapos of course, with my explanation, it would also help you out assess the situation ba, parang ganyan. But then again, guys, wait, gusto ko yung comment na yun. Then why Laila is being so proud about the double jeopardy rule? Hindi ko nga alam bakit yan yung ini-invoke ng mga lawyers niya. Again, pag may valid judgment lang, bago yun ma-invoke. When Thanksgiving celebration, sorry, wala pa akong idea, pero yeah, I will post about it na lang if may, time and my schedule and my place na for that. But yeah, thank you for allowing me to remember this, okay? Again, guys, the Dutertes are very thankful of your support sa kanila. And then, they did not expect it actually because there is no machinery, guys. Walang lumabas na, may pera for the operation, for example, for the mobilization, for the rally. But when it comes to machinery, wala talaga, guys. Walang-wala. But then again, the recent election has actually proven that the Duterte magic is still there. They don't need to give out ayuda or money or to vote by. Wala na yan. Wala sa kanila yan. But again, panalo pa rin tayo. And in Davao, landslide. And yeah, I'd like to put this on record din na those people who are saying that Davaos have bobotante, yung mga nagsasabi na mga bobo kami dito because we voted as Tandy, please go back to your barrios or to your cage or to your ugly places because we don't need your opinions. Davao is doing well even without you, and we voted for the right people to lead us here. Again, debt-free ang Davao City, insurgency-free, na triple yung investment namin. We are the economic hub of Mindanao. We are one of the wealthiest cities, even top one in the entire island. And that's because we voted for the right people. Again, don't ever question the decisions of majority of the Davaoenos, especially if you don't live here and if you are not getting the same convenience that the other cities or municipalities, provinces, or places cannot give to their people. We have 911. Okay? Wala kayo. Diba? So, okay kami dito, insurgency-free kami dito. Tapos, for example, when we order food, Tapos walang tao sa table, we can put our cellphone there, and we are actually free to walk at night without fear of being harassed or ma-snatch yung mga gamit namin. Again, in terms of the culture of security, Davao is really, really doing well. We are completely okay here. Now, you labeling as Bobotante, it's because we voted for a standee. Please, pagpuyo mo sa inyong balay, at imanan ni inyong mga kaugalingon. Walay utang ang syudad dire, walay utang ang dakbayan, may utang pamanggani ka isip isara ka individual, tapos you have the audacity to talk ill about us. No, shut the fuck up, baby. Sige na, bye na guys. Sleeping ako actually, hindi ko na alam yung pinagsasabi ko. Bye.